can you hear me? Ronnie? Lisa, can y'all hear us? Mute. Charlotte, can you hear us? You guys can hear us, right? Lisa, Mario, Charlotte, can you all hear us?
I don't hear you.
This is like,
Hello?
Can you hear me?
No,
Lisa?
no,
Yes. Can y'all hear me now?
yes.
Okay, good. I don't know what happened and I can't see you anymore. So, oh well, but I can hear you.
All right, and can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. Charlotte, are you able to hear us now?
Yes. We've lost you again.
Can y'all hear me? This
Yes.
is Lisa. Okay.
I don't hear you. You
Bonnie, can you hear us? Bonnie? Bonnie? Hello? All right, we need to keep the meeting moving. So I'd like to move to accept accounts payable number 88 for $42,100.26. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I'd like to move to accept payroll number 89 for $3,758. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And last, I'd like to move to accept accounts payable number 90 for $21,875.24. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye. Can you hear us now?
yes. Yes.
Okay, I can hear y'all too. Can y'all hear me? Or no?
Yep. All right.
Yep, we hear you.
Okay. I'd like
Okay.
to accept, make a motion to accept the minutes for March 18th, select board meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we'll initial that. All right, let's move to citizens issues, and one of the first ones on our list is Lisa. Lisa, you want to talk to us? And I know April also had information she has shared with us. Lisa? All right.
Lisa,
April,
can
do
you hear
wanna-
us?
April, do you want to share?
Sure. Well, so the matter at hand is that a representative from the Squire Tarbox Inn reached out about renting the town hall parking lot, as they have in the past for several dates this coming spring, summer and fall for weddings, which the select board has been considering and is going to make a decision on tonight. So I think the crux of the issue is making sure that we have the town hall available often enough for the WCA and for citizens who might want to use it, but also accommodating the inn, who's a good neighbor, and would be lucrative for the town to rent out the parking. So we're just trying to strike the balance.
And I thought we had addressed this a couple weeks ago. And I don't have, I remember for the dates now. Yeah, so, I think part of the issue was, whether there were other committees or whatever having meetings at the time. And I know, speaking from the WCA, that there is nothing, or else it's already on the calendar. And I believe there were like 6 or 9 different dates that,
Yep, I'm looking it up at the moment. I have it flagged when I have it all.
Just while she's able to do that, can we just check? Are you able to hear us? Charlotte, Mario, Lisa, anybody online?
I can hear you.
Lisa, you're muted.
so the question for us is, are we
Can't hear you now.
feel like, say, given us and we are charging. That's. Feel like, and also.
You're not coming through. You are not coming through.
We want to be good, partners, so I'd like to make a motion that we accept those dates and accept working with them.
Before we do, can we have some discussion?
Sure.
Or you can do discussion.
Oh, true,
I'll second the motion, discussion.
okay. Lisa, can you respond? Are you able to get off mute, Lisa?
You can mute her, she's having trouble. If you go to the 3 dots by her picture. I believe, or you
I
can-
have polls and breakout rooms is all.
you can ask her to unmute.
She has no dots next to her, she just has her, click on that, yeah, this, yeah. No? Yeah,
Oh, there it is.
yes.
Ask to unmute, I think. would be
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
You
yeah, I
can
was just
force
saying-
her to, but it'll give her a pop-up window if she's having trouble.
Okay.
There
Okay,
you go.
now can you hear me? Can y'all hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good. Oh my gosh, so sorry.
Okay.
So, Go ahead, Jeff.
Want to say anything about the events, or should we jump into the discussion about whether to do it or give the okay?
Sure. Did you guys get the email that I sent you on Friday afternoon?
Yes.
Yes, so that kind of states our position and, what we are hoping for, and would like to continue that. I think it's a bonus for you guys if nobody else is using it, because it puts a little funds in your pocket. And, of course, it's helpful for us. If there would be times, I think, if it's a smaller wedding, there may only be 2 or 3 vendor vehicles over there. It might not even be very many. But, we are telling people who want to use the barn and the inn that if we get approval, that they should always use it if they can, even if they wind up not using it. Just rent it and have it available if they need it.
Is it primarily the vendors that would be using it, or? are you
It's a, it's a little of both, Jeff. If like if there's somebody who's elderly, let's say, and they need to be guest parking, most people come in by shuttle and shuttle out. But if there is an elderly person or a couple who, the parking lot at the end would already be taken up with cars because of the people staying there. Shuttle would bring people in and pick people up who are the bulk of the guests. But if there's somebody who needed to leave early, if we need to put a couple of vendor cars over there, it's more likely that rather than people driving to the wedding and overflow parking. It's more of people who don't want to stay for the full length of the shuttle. And like I said, that's typically older drivers who don't want to stay very late and want to get back out off the island in a little more timely manner.
So you're expecting not to have a huge number of people typically, even if you have a big event, that typically there wouldn't be a lot of parking?
No, there won't be a ton. That's why it's a nice size for us. It gives us that little bit of extra overflow for situations like that. But most people, in fact, we encourage people that they need to hire a shuttle to bring their guests in and pick them up. And then there is no parking issue. It's just for the little bit of overflow.
That's good to hear, Lisa. Definitely want to.
No, it would not be 50 cars or anything close to that over there.
Good.
Well, that is a concern. I think when the planning board reviewed the original application for an event space with the barn, there was some discussion about the end of then putting in some additional parking to support events.
Yes, so we've got a couple of options. I mean, we try and limit the size of the weddings because we can't, we're only so big, so we can't have 250 people there. We can't accommodate that. We are looking at possibly being able at some point to come in and add 10 spaces on the other side of the road. And that's really just kind of filling that in and paving it. We'll have to get approval for that. But we have talked about doing that. And we have talked to Bill Hopkins also about, he owns the abutting property where the Tarbox Cemetery is. And that's actually his land and he mows it. If the weather is dry, he has told me that I can grade that down so that cars could park in there. The issue is if it's wet at all, that is too boggy over there. And so we wouldn't want people to park in there if the ground were wet. And that's probably a week of determination if it's okay to use that or not. The good thing about your parking is, of course, it's paved and it is close enough for, a couple of vendors to walk back and forth. And also, like I said, if you've got, a pregnant woman who wants to leave early because she doesn't want to stay that late, or older grandparents or whatever, the bulk of the guests stay and come on the shuttle and leave on the shuttle.
It's actually good to hear too, that you don't plan big events since, that's always a challenge anyway for us down here.
No, it is. And yeah, it is. And no, we don't. We really like having a wedding of about 75 people. That's really great for us. And, we have some that are a little bit over 100, but we cut that off. We just can't, it's hard on our property too, when you get, have 250 people there. Yeah. And everybody's on top of each other. And so that's not ever anything we want to do.
Any other comments or any other feedback?
David, as a neighbor, do you have any comments about the idea of the inn using the town hall parking on a few occasions?
I haven't had any problem with parking. It was noisy and late at night a couple of times, but.
I don't know if you could hear David, Lisa. David is here as well.
Okay, good.
and I think, my biggest concern has been blocking out, the townspeople from using the town hall, way in advance. But I'm gonna, I guess, pull back and say, because I really do want to support the inn. And knowing that at least at this point, there's nothing planned for those dates. And again, it's more of a limited use. It's still possible someone could use the town hall, the building, even though the parking.
Oh, of course. Yes, of course. And, you know, like I said in my email, I have kind of been watching, you know, when things happen. And of course, it's the community meeting space, and we completely understand that. But it seems to be that most of the things that y'all do there, nobody's there at 7 or 8 or 9 o'clock at night. They're typically, you know, out by 6-ish at the latest. And I mean, that's just my observation. Of course, that's not 100%, but just in observing, that's what it seems like to me.
Yeah, and actually WCA events, typically during the summer, we try to be more outdoors, so, you know,
Right.
anything that's gone till 9 o'clock has probably been down at the ferry landing for a band or something, so, at least from WCA's perspective, we do plan ahead, and so things would already be posted on the calendar, and I know you've looked at that.
Right.
It feels like there's enough flexibility that if you have, just that you're gonna use that, potentially use a parking lot, nothing else, that, I feel like we could probably work around it.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever use the buildings. We don't need that. What I'd like y'all to think about, and this is another discussion for another day, but if y'all wanted to let people use the church for a backup as for rain, we could certainly do that. I don't know that they would pay a fee for that, just as a kind of an extra thing just in case it rains, but we have had weddings that rain, but we've never had anybody who originally, when we first bought it from Ronnie and Mario, we did, that was part of the deal, that if they wanted to, I think I was working with Deb then, if anybody wanted to just block it and rent it, we could, and we had a few people who did that, but they've never used it.
Mhm. Okay. Any other comment? All right, so we've got a motion on the floor to approve
7 dates, I think it is.
7 dates,
yeah, the dates that Lisa had requested for
Right.
for the parking. And we have a second, so the question now is, all in favor? Aye. So it looks like it's
You're good to
unanimous.
go.
Yay, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it.
All right.
And like I said in our email, of course, anything we can do to ever help out, if y'all ever need, space for something. I know y'all have used our kitchen when you're doing the 4th of July deal, but if you ever need the barn or anything like that, we'd love for you to just approach us about it. And if we can do it, we certainly will.
Thank you so very
Thank
much.
you.
And we have recorded this, so that's great.
Good. Uh-oh. No, we're happy to, to help and be a reciprocal part of the community.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, thanks you guys.
Next on citizens issue, I would just want to bring an update on the Chris Wormwood issue that we've been talking about. We have been in contact. He has been in contact with us. He is moving forward with trying to clean out his garage or organize his garage so that he can start to store things. We've had a couple of issues because we've got some pretty bad weather right now that have made everything very, very wet. But we are keeping pretty much
What?
He also people
Driving by,
driving
pointing
by,
at his home.
harassing him, and he has threatened to contact a lawyer. So I just want to put it out there that we need to be a little bit sensitive to driving by and observing. And we'll keep people updated, but right now, the weather has not been great, and it's not gonna be great this week, and you can't bring machinery in, move a bunch of stuff if
The only thing I will say in the correspondence that we had with him, he mentioned something about antifreeze. And I don't think that the issue was antifreeze, and I don't know why he said that in the email, and he mentioned, you had said something, the issue was gasoline and oil.
Yeah, petroleum products.
Yeah,
yeah.
so I think we need to follow up with that and clarify with him, because we still don't know if those engines and whatever he has out there contain that, and he specified antifreeze.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was the
Yeah.
only thing, and I didn't respond, because I was waiting for you to come back.
Yeah. So, you all are here and you have a citizens issue?
I've got a report on the planning board, whenever you all.
All right, so we'll have that after we finish with the citizens issue. So David, you have a citizens issue?
Yes, Betsy paid a mechanic for work at the town hall back in December. And she has not been reimbursed. And I was wondering why and when we can resolve the issue.
Does she have a receipt, an invoice from the mechanic?
Yes, it was presented on December the 5th to Ashley,
Okay, and
along with a letter explaining what was happening.
And the other thing is that when we have committees, because this is the initiative of the town hall committee, correct?
That's correct. The letter clearly
we-
stated it was, you were there at the town hall committee meeting.
Yeah, and it said that the chair of the town hall committee should sign off on that. So Bailey should have signed off on that request for funds.
Betsy submitted it to Bailey and to the town. Now, you expect Betsy to go to Bailey and get her to sign off?
Basically, yeah, that this should be done under it was, and David, I'll be frank, this has been an awkward situation, partially because amongst the things that were done on the town hall were things that were not planned or approved by the town hall committee. But the work done by the heating contractor to do the weatherization was something that the town hall committee approved. And needed basically just to have it be signed off by the chair, and then Ashley, with that authorization, would pay.
Okay, so you still need Bailey to sign something.
If Ashley would, if Betsy would give me a copy, I'll sign off on it, and we'll do it as part of the committee. We had a committee meeting on Thursday. And at that committee, actually, Bailey resigned. So we will have a change in the guard, but we don't have a new chair. But we can,
Well,
we can approve
a copy
that.
of the letter and the receipt that was given to Ashley on 12/5.
Okay,
Okay,
because Ashley isn't paying things without sort of authorization from
All right.
the party responsible.
all right. Now I have another question that goes with this. Does the town have standardized written procedures for the way they conduct business?
Yes,
We have
more
it.
so every day, actually.
Yes.
Yes.
And where does a citizen find those? We have to come here and look at them, or they're online someplace?
They aren't online. I'd be happy
They
to add,
are,
they are not
Are
online.
not.
The ordinances are online, but not policies, which is something that's approved by the select board as opposed to town meeting. We didn't actually know what policies we had. We recently collected them all and went through every binder and folder we could find on computers and put them together. And we're kind of slowly revamping those and bringing them up to speed and getting them, yeah, modernized. I don't know if they're ready for prime time, but I'm happy to put them on the website whenever the select board's ready.
It would be nice to know what's expected of one.
Well, one of the
And where to
things,
go to find those things.
David, one of the things that Ashley had also said was that she told Betsy not to pay people, to have them submit the invoices to the town.
Yeah, she told her when she submitted, after she'd already
she had
paid.
done
Well, I think this is the second time we.
It is the second.
So I think she said she told him the first time not to pay the vendor.
Well, that's a moot point right now.
Well,
She's-
we know the work was done. We've seen it, so we can pay for it, but in the future, any work that's authorized by the committee or by a town representative should be paid for by the treasurer. And we avoid paying things, reimbursing people, unless there's some reason like emergency that they can't do that. But this is one where the vendor should have been able to get the payment from Ashley.
And actually, I believe the vendor was told to come to Ashley to get paid, and one of the pieces of the policy is that
Which,
we are asking chairs of the committees to take the responsibility for any kind of work that's done, rather than individuals going out and
keyword there
buying
was the
things.
policy, which is not published or available to the public or apparently even to the committee, so.
Oh, it's definitely available to the public. Every freedom of access gives you
Oh,
access to all the
yeah, but
Yeah.
you have to know where it is and come ask for it and.
I think that, and that's probably a wrong assumption, but I'm on committees too, and I would never expect a committee member to act without the chair giving the okay for that.
And that permission was granted, the committee,
Permission to get the work done,
to get the work done.
but the payment should have been
That's-
gone through the town or
that's fine.
approved by the committee chair.
That's fine, it's done,
Mhm.
will you pay it?
We'll pay it.
Okay, thank you. Someone's gonna make sure that we at least have a note somewhere on the website that these policies exist and you can come by the town hall and see them or something.
Yeah,
Maybe a list of them, even if you don't put them on the site.
I'm fully on board with that. We've never done that in the past, but I
I'm
think it's
happy.
a great idea. And as long as the select board gives me the okay, I'll put the policies up tomorrow.
I think that's fine.
I think that would be very helpful.
Okay.
I think one of our goals is to be as transparent as possible.
Okay,
Jim, this is how
Thank
it would be done.
Dave,
Jim,
in Ashley's defense, she will not pay a road bill until I come in and initial it. And she's a stickler for detail, and that's her policy. And I think it's smart because that way things aren't getting
Balances.
lost. The checks and balance type system. But Ashley is on the ball, and she does pay attention.
mhm.
And I can bring in a bill from the company I work for, and she will not pay it until I initial it. And I think that's a pretty good policy, but yes, maybe that should be a little more advertised to the townspeople so they know the proper process. And with the change in leadership of the town hall committee, and there's a lot of chaos there. So, obviously, the select board will get this straightened out for you.
And yeah, and we have been working on policies, so and we do need to be as clear as possible about where those
Okay.
are and whatnot. And as April said, we've been looking for them ourselves and trying to put them in one place, and if there isn't a policy, we have now been creating them, but there are so many policies that need to be done that it's a slow
We're
process.
sort of doing them as they come up, you
Yeah,
know, as we
Fine.
need, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And I don't know that we ever, I remember we had kicked it to the chairs, right?
Oh, I was drafting a committee's policy.
Right.
And I sent it out to all the committee chairs probably a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
And then,
just looking for input from the chairs before we finalize the committee policy, but we have been working on
Yeah,
that.
because
so.
that actually talked about expenditures and whatnot as well.
So in
Yeah.
fairness, it's sort of a transition period, and I guess Betsy's thing kind of fell through the cracks a little bit.
well, and I have asked Betsy about what procedures were available for the committee. And
Right.
she didn't know that any existed,
Right,
you know?
exactly.
What's your mission statement for your committee?
Yeah,
Who
yeah.
has what
No,
responsibility?
you're 100% right. And we've been finding that in a lot of places, this lacking of
Okay, fine.
structure,
You're working on
foundation.
it.
So we're working on it
Okay.
for sure.
Definitely work in progress.
But you're absolutely right.
And actually, good that you brought it up because now we'll get things posted and, so
Yes.
we'll move forward with that.
Okay, good, thank you.
Great. So any other citizens issues for anybody on Zoom before we move to the next thing? Before we do the update, I think because he's been here since 6
Yep.
o'clock, because he thought his meeting started at 6, John will put you on the agenda, so you want to go ahead?
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. As you all know, Bob Mooney resigned from the planning board and also, of course, as the chair. Pursuant to the bylaws, I stepped in as the vice chair.
John, you may need to speak up, so
Okay.
people, I don't think they can hear you.
Okay. So as the vice chair, I've stepped in and started carrying the ball forward until we get a new chair. So we have our next meeting, April 10th. Excuse me, at 7 o'clock, scheduled right now. I just wanted to share with the select board the proposed agenda that we have. I'll finalize that tomorrow. But we'll address the chairperson transition, whether we're going to elect one on April 10th or defer that. We'll have a conversation and obviously let you all know. We have a pending subdivision application. There's been a little discussion about that. We'll get that on a tight road, if you will, or path to resolving that. There are no timing issues. They're going to need some more time to finish what they're doing, so there's nothing urgent, but we do have a few things to get squared away there. In that light, we're planning to have an executive session to receive legal advice regarding that application on the 10th. There's a new peer application. We haven't, I don't think it's been filed yet, but that's coming down the pipe. We will be finalizing the LD 2003 ordinance, getting that out the door, so that we can get the legal review and then schedule the hearing on it. And finally, we're having a conversation about changing the meeting time from 7 to 6, but we'll sort through that on the 10th. So I just want to let you know, we're moving forward, still doing our job. We're going to miss Bob, of course, but I don't see any concerns at this time. Everybody's engaged in addressing our issues. Obviously, the word has gone out that we're recruiting new members and alternates. So I think we're in good shape, and with April's help and Gary's help and Dee's help, I'm sure we'll be fine. So,
Thank you for
Yeah.
stepping
Thank you.
forward
Yeah.
for, and continuing this
yeah.
hard work.
And then if I could just tangentially, the ordinance committee, Lisa heads, I'm sure I'll be report on that, but I won't steal their thunder, Jim's thunder, but I'm interested in putting together a kind of mini campaign to begin educating the community about the proposed ordinances. So as we were talking earlier, once you all have a date, I'll make a proposal to you all about how to do that.
Yep.
And then we can implement it.
Yep, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
I may take leave early so that I
Well, you came in an hour early,
Yes.
so, yeah, yeah. All right, the order is a little bit, we added just a few things here, so just be patient with us. But before we get into the budget planning and revenue, I wanted to do an update on the reval and the assessor. So you want to take it? Jeff?
Yeah, we voted last meeting to put out an RFP for a assessor's assistant, assessor's agent. And we did that. It's been posted in the Lincoln County News. It's also been posted with the Maine Municipal Association on their RFP table. And we've sent out actually the RFP to the assessors organizations that are registered with the Maine Revenue Service, all certified assessors. So hopefully we'll get some response. We've only had so far, though I think one organization request the RFP. But we'll see how that goes. That's due May 6th. So we have about 5 weeks to drum up some support. Again, our objective is to get a solid player in place to help us plan further with the revaluation, and also to deal with the problem we're continuing to have with our property values increasing much faster than we're used to in the past. And that creates an issue for us in terms of keeping up with the state valuation. So we need to look at how we're valuing properties to try to keep them fair and accurate. So that's one piece of what we've been focused on. The second thing, though, is in the bigger picture is the revaluation of the town. We're due to revalue properties in the town across the board. Towns are supposed to do this every 10 years. Our 10 years is up in 2025. We've gotten feedback initially that most of the firms that do this type of thing are already booked up through 2025. So we're expecting we're not going to be able to do it 2025. But one of the big questions as we go forward is whether we want to do the interior of buildings. When in doing a revaluation, sometimes towns will just use the outside, the dimensions, referred to as like a driveway assessment. And we've actually, that's pretty much the pattern that Westport has followed over the last 20 some years. So can't say it's been a while since that assessors have actually been able to evaluate the interior of homes. In looking at the fairness of valuations, it's not just a matter of square footage. There's a lot of variation in the quality and the resale value of homes that you won't pick up just in square footage. So I had a conversation with our town attorney, Jim Katsifikis, again, looking at the RFP that we've drafted for the revaluation. And he said, we really should think seriously about adding that scope. The trouble is it will make the reevaluation more expensive. If they have to then schedule a time to go into a home, to do an evaluation, do an assessment in the home, that takes extra effort. And the time involved in going inside the home takes extra effort. So we know that if we did that, the revaluation costs would be more, but it would be more accurate. And that's kind of the trade-off. So we're going to work some more on the revaluation RFP, and probably would like to do some type of discussion with the town to talk about objectives, what we hope to get out of it, and then that will come before the contract for that. When we finally do put it out there, we come before the town for approval. Any questions on, I guess, the status of the revaluation efforts?
I have a question just about the reval in general. Why don't they do they take the market value of the buildings into account? Because that seems like that would be the best way to evaluate the interior, right? I mean, realtors know what to market things for, people know what to look for when they're buying.
But really, the evaluation is supposed to reflect what it would sell for. I mean, it's not going to be accurate because we do the revaluation last time, it's 2015, things are selling now, and that's our problem. But yes, absolutely, the inside is a factor when you sell a house.
Right. Why don't we just use the market values and a total ignorance of this process?
Well, but that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
So what is the market value?
Well, because not everyone's house
what
is on the
someone's
market.
willing to pay for it.
Right,
Mm.
and how do you know what someone's willing to pay for that house at 325 Main Road?
You
If
gotta
it's
put it
not
on the
for sale.
market, and it's not for sale,
Right.
so
Right.
you have to look at similar properties, so that's what they do. Okay, that makes sense.
But it's looking at the actual properties and to see
Mhm.
what they could sell for. That's a factor, and this is what, trying to make things fair. We've had, again, the shock of properties doubling in value
Right.
since the last valuation,
Or what our or what our
what our valuation was.
versus what it's being sold for.
Yeah.
Right,
And there's a huge gap there. Yeah.
Jim,
Prime example, to clarify, if you had a 3,000 square foot house and you had store-bought cabinets opposed to a custom built kitchen with granite countertops and you have custom tile showers, you can spend a lot of money inside of a house that adds a lot of value. Granted, the outsides are just the same.
Mhm.
One could have cedar clapboards, one could have vinyl siding. And so you get inside and the built-ins and the options are limitless. And there is some high-end houses being built on Westport as we speak that don't have Home Depot kitchen cabinets and not that there's anything wrong with them, but there's a big difference, between $100,000.
Calvin Cromwell put my cabinets in back in the 50s.
Right. There's a difference between $100,000 kitchen
And
and
then you could be
$300,000.
repainted.
There are differences. And
Uh,
that's why I think you may say, well, geez, it's gonna cost so much more for this internal reevaluation. Will it pay for itself? Well, over the course of 10 years, it'll more than pay for itself, and it'll be much more equitable.
That's the big thing, I think.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
It's, right, it's equitable.
They're gonna set the mill rate to raise the revenue, so, but the trick is the house really worth 100,000? And the guy across the way is only worth 50,000, but they're on the books for the same,
right,
so it becomes a matter of fairness more
Fairness.
than.
Exactly.
absolutely.
More
More
than
than-
the town getting more money.
Exactly,
Right.
absolutely.
That's a very
Yes.
difficult thing to do, is say, your place is worth 75,000, this place is worth 100. Even though he's got more land, he's got a bigger house, but you got the Thomas Moser cabinets, you got the, the granite floor, and you got the countertop,
So there's gotta be criteria and how much criteria do we have? It really depends on whether you look inside or not. Yeah, all right, okay. So next on our agenda is actually, we had talked about looking every week from here on out at different pieces of our budgets and as we get ready for the June meeting. So tonight we're gonna start with revenues.
we are, but we're gonna do a little scrambling here, I'm sorry. See if I can share my screen.
And do you have handouts for?
No, I don't, unfortunately. Okay. I don't think it's working.
The joys of technology, you try to be as open and transparent as possible, and technology doesn't always help.
There, I think I did it. So you should be seeing.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so I apologize in the room, don't have this, but what we wanted to talk about, the first step is just our revenues, what our likely revenues are to kind of get grounded. And the following up after the revenues, we start talking about, hand this over. Next week, talk about social services and public safety. So social services would be the transfer station, the Wiscasset Rec Center, the library, and the schools, what those costs are, as well as the social service organizations like Lifelight in Maine that we donate money to. And then public safety, the fire department, the ambulance, and animal control, those area of budgets. The EMA budgets would be April 8th. April 15th would be like the public works, and so that would be the roads. So in 2 weeks, talk about the roads, paving, snow removal, the sand and salt budget, and then also talk about what we need for town buildings. The following week after that, the 22nd, look at town administration, and that would be the staff, the office supplies, the computing software, anything we do with the website, town meetings and elections. And then the last week, the 5th week in April, would be more the everything else, the town operations, code enforcement, the town committees, the planning and appeals boards, and then again, whatever isn't covered elsewhere. So we'd catch up with that on that week. And then in May, then do a look at what is the whole thing total up to? What's our budget look like in the first week in May? So this is really a proposal. I talked through this list with Ashley last week. Ashley, we've been talking about a bit over the winter. And just see, comments from the other board members. Is there any qualms about the flow, anything you'd rearrange in terms of the groupings?
I think if Ashley's okay with it, I'm okay with it.
The objective is to cover all areas of the budget this month and get some input from the responsible areas like the fire department weighing in on what they think they need. And then we can talk about what the town administration thinks is needed as well. So we have a review of the budgets. So if we're good with that, I don't know if we need to vote on it, but.
No, because I feel like if something happens, we need to be a little bit flexible, we can be, but this is a good start.
Because we'll want to make sure, like, for next week, to ask the fire chief and the emergency management director to join us and then Ashley can help us with some of the other expenses, like the transfer station expenses, what we project for those. This week, we wanted to talk about revenues, and I don't have a projection for next year, but I can at least cover what the revenues were this last year. And that's the foundation annually we'd use for our projections. For property taxes, we had $1,938,777 was the property tax, personal and real estate property taxes, revenue from that end. And that's what most people are concerned about, because that's what we pay in our property taxes. But then we also got funds coming from the state and elsewhere. So the homestead exemption was $31,960. Excise taxes for motor vehicles were $186,798. So that's a substantial amount of income. Excise taxes for boats were $7,211. And we had snowmobiles. So this is probably a change over the years, because snowmobiles excise taxes are down to $125. So I guess people aren't registering snowmobiles anymore.
No snow.
Yeah, there's that. Climate change strikes again. Then we also have interest and lien fees associated with taxes, and that was $6,083. I think I had the homestead exemption in there twice.
Yeah,
Misstated. Yeah. I think I used last year's, or 2023 as a start. So let me skip that. Veterans was just a small amount, $190. Tree growth reimbursement, that's the state reimburses the towns for properties, for the property taxes lost for properties that are under special things like tree growth. So the tax rate for tree growth properties is much reduced. So we got $4,945 back from the state for tree growth. And then we also got $26,032 for the local road assistance program. And that's supposed to help fund our town roads. So that's a total of $2,230,202. Again, roughly, this is what we had last year. And we'll have to take now and project what we think we're gonna do for next year. For property taxes, there are some increases, and that we have a number of usually about 30 building permits each year. Some of those are new properties, new buildings. So that'll be an increase to the property tax base. So that's the one thing we can point to for potential increase in property values. So sorry, any questions on what the categories? These are the things we had to look for our categories.
No, I was
anyway.
just curious, we had attended via Zoom a week or so ago, the budget presentation.
Budget training.
Budget training, budget workshop, yeah. I believe it was there that he mentioned the excise tax. We was just talking about, you know, how you kind of, you know, predict. And it was interesting because, you know, you don't always think like, well, what are the interest rates doing? I know you can't really speculate on excise tax, but I'm just curious if in the past we've gotten like a report over like the last X amount of years
The
from.
pattern, that's what he's talking about,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, we actually could,
Well, the-
I don't know, we get a report, we can generate it ourselves.
Yeah.
So we
that's
can
what I mean.
see, the excise
Yeah.
taxes to date.
Yeah,
It was interesting to think about the reasons why the excise
right.
tax go up
More
or
people are
down.
buying cars because of,
Yep.
you know, interest
Yep.
rates are down, or it was just an interesting
Mhm.
point that he made.
Usually it goes back to something about the economy.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And are people
So,
buying new cars or not? And,
There was a big boom down here in excise tax when Asplin had 150 or so trucks registered down here.
I think they mentioned that.
That was years ago. I
Yeah.
don't think they still are, but
yeah,
that
it's
was
just,
that was quite a revenue.
Right,
generator for the town.
Yeah, there's something about trucks, I remember.
yeah, one of the towns, I think it was the dealership was closing or something in the town, and so they expected, you know, a lot of vehicle sales and, you know, that kind of thing. So it's interesting. It's not as, you know, sort of always so cut and dry, right? It's a
Yeah.
little
Right, so those years of
intuitive,
the
or
Asplin
you having your
trucks,
ear to the ground and knowing what's going on.
Yeah,
Right,
what's
those-
to anticipate,
you
Right,
know, those years of the Asplin trucks, that would give you kind of a false reading of
yeah,
what
Mhm.
was a benefit to the town.
right.
little bump,
Absolutely.
yeah, but you can't anticipate
Can't
the
count on
next year. Yeah,
So we actually, that's part of what the fine tuning we can do is we project, is to see what we've got so far this year. And actually, I didn't get to looking at so much, I got the 2025 projected. And part of what we'll do, work with Ashley, is look at what we have so far to date. And say, well, this is 3/4 of the year, you know, that can hopefully project what we think, where we're gonna be at the year end. And then what does that mean for next year?
Yeah.
So that's part of what will help. I've got in the spreadsheet tabs for each of the areas, for each of the weeks for discussions. So we can track what's recorded. So when Jim comes in with his plan for roads, we'll be able to report it and record his explanation. Same thing when the committees come in and talk about what they need for budgets, we'll be able to do that. It's what we did last year.
great. Okay, next on our agenda, by the way, will you send us that? I know you had.
I think you did.
I did, actually.
Okay, today?
Yeah.
Tonight?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's why I haven't seen it, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, next on our agenda is Baker Road update. I think you've talked to the lawyer?
Yeah, so just to recap, there have been gradually more obstructions being put into the Baker Road. And this last month, stumps have displaced some of the gravel and basically causing damage to the roadway. I spoke with the sheriff's department 2 weeks ago. After our meeting, we said we wanted to take action. And so a sheriff's deputy should have contacted the Greenleafs to tell them that they're in violation of the judgment. Let me back up. So long story, Baker Road, last summer, we got a judgment agreed to, that the Greenleafs agreed to, that said that they agreed to the property line, the boundaries of the road. So we established that with the survey, where the road is located. And they agreed as part of that they would no longer put any obstructions in the road. So they're in violation of that agreement. They've been put on notice that, and what we recommend to do by our attorney tonight is we will send them a formal, in a sense, a cease and desist letter that gives them 1 week to remove the obstructions, or we take them to court. So this means going back and filing to the court, this time filing because they're in violation of the court judgment. And any then costs at that point, they will have to incur. So that's kind of the stick. Unfortunately, we're having to pay right now to what we're doing in terms of preparing the letter. And let me, I don't know if I got a copy. Let me just read the letter and what that says as we go. So this is a letter from our attorneys to the attorney for the Greenleafs. And it says, it has come to our attention that your clients, Albert Greenleaf Jr. and Barbara A. Greenleaf, together the Greenleafs, are in violation of the stipulated judgment entered in the above referenced matter. This is with the matter of the town of Westport Island against Albert Greenleaf et al. A copy of which is enclosed for your reference. Pursuant to the stipulated judgment, your clients are permanently enjoined and prohibited from placing any items outside the boundaries of their property located at 814 Main Road, Westport Island, or otherwise interfering or obstructing the use or maintenance of Baker's Road, located in the town of Westport Island. Again, reference to the stipulated judgment into the paragraph where that states that. The stipulated judgment clearly describes and delineates the boundaries of the Greenleaf property and the road. Part of what was included was the survey that we had done that showed clearly the GPS coordinates and then a number of reference points that we could see. Unfortunately, when the town had placed monuments or pipe markers to mark the boundaries, they had disappeared. So we did not do it this time. We just made sure we used the GPS coordinates, which can't be removed, to mark. So that's all been done. And that's part of what the judgment is referencing them. So as evidenced by the photographs enclosed herein, and in this case, there are 4 photographs that were taken on March 28th of the property, showing the obstructions in the roadway and the disturbance of the gravel. As evidenced by the photographs enclosed herein, which were taken on or about March 28th, your clients have violated and continue to violate the express terms of the stipulated judgment by placing logs and other items outside the boundaries of their property and within the boundaries of the road. Your client's actions have created a public safety hazard. In fact, this is the precise activity that prompted the litigation in the first instance. Accordingly, the town of Westport Island hereby demands that your clients immediately remove any and all items that are placed within the boundaries of the road. Should your clients fail to comply with this demand in the terms of the stipulated judgment within 5 days from the date of this correspondence, the town is prepared to pursue an order of contempt and injunctive relief from the Lincoln County Superior Court. Moreover, as provided for by the stipulated judgment, the town will be entitled to recover its attorney's fees, disbursements, expenses, and costs incurred in seeking such relief. If you no longer represent, and this is again to the attorney, if you no longer represent the Greenleafs in connection with this matter, please forward this correspondence to them and notify us of the fact so that we may follow up directly with Mr. and Mrs. Greenleaf. Thank you for your prompt attention to this matter. And signed sincerely, Joseph Talbot. And Joseph Talbot is our attorney with Perkins Tompkins. He was the lead litigator in our case with the Greenleafs last year. So I guess any discussion or comments about the letter?
Nope.
Again, a lot of lawyerese, but the point of it is that
What they do.
to remove the obstructions, or you'll have
It's
to
the
pay.
right way to do it.
Yep.
So I'd like to move that we authorize the sending of this letter.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yep, aye. So we can do it, so that the date will be today's date, and they can send this out tomorrow.
Not necessarily the greatest date to send something out to somebody that's really serious.
This is not a joke.
Yes, I would not want them to think that, yes.
Joke was over 25 years ago.
Yeah. All right, moving along, update on the roads, and if you would, Jim, give us also a little bit of update on the ordinance that you've been working on.
All right, I will start with the ordinance.
And can you talk loudly so that Charlotte and,
I'll try. Thanks to the work of John Henderson, he kind of made a draft, and we had an ordinance review committee meeting. And we tweaked a few things and think we have it ready for the higher ups to take a look at it. He was gonna talk with April about getting a copy of the application to attach to it. So the attorney would have the whole picture, the whole package. So I'm very pleased with that. It's, it's a balance between protecting the town and not being too restrictive. I think we found that middle ground. The roads, storms, and more storms. The ice storm last weekend, not this last weekend, the weekend before. Got cleaned up, for the most part. There's still some little stuff around, but it's trying to get the bulk of the safety hazards and the big stuff out of the way and back away from the road, because we may have to plow roads again. You don't know. The DOT, I talked to Jackie this morning, she was down here this afternoon to remove the pile I was really concerned with by Fox Road. There's some more places that it's close to the road, but it's the big safety stuff I feel is gone for the most part. They have many miles of roads to clean, and they're running behind, so she didn't clean it right up completely, but they improved it. So I appreciate that out of the DOT. I took the posted signs down tonight, the frost is out, the roads hardened up. We do have weather coming. I don't think there's gonna be a big influx of trucks. There is a project going on, they're demoing a house, not heavy loads. I think it still is. Nobody's gonna be doing some mass excavating right now. But there is people that wanna work, and the roads they're rough. They're potholed,
Right,
but they're not
but they're
super
not,
anymore.
right.
And they've all settled back down, because we've had plenty of rain to settle them back down. That's about all I have now. I'm waiting for conditions to be right so we can grade them. That's probably still 3 to 4 weeks away. But as soon as that can be done, and the cold patching of paved roads, is all gonna take place as soon as possible. The big thing is the storm damage. It's just, it's just endless.
when we thought winter was over.
Right, and I cleaned several culverts Saturday when I was down here. I was kind of cutting stuff up. I had Randy Russell, who was chipping the brush. There was a tree like this on Post Office Road that I cut down Saturday. There's several more, but the other ones look like they're pretty healthy. This one was definitely dead and headed for the. So I cleared that up, and I think we're in pretty good shape for now. We can just survive from now till the 1st of May, when we can get some grading done, because Post Office Road, once again, is riddled with potholes, and there's no way around them.
How come that one little section was paved?
The hill,
Yeah,
because it's a hill. Wintertime maintenance, it'll melt off where dirt roads won't, and the other thing is, if that hill was dirt, by June first, it would all be washboard. So people, you just spin it a little bit when you go up a dirt road hill. The next thing you know, you get this,
okay.
and it compounds very quickly then at that point.
And it's held up, I guess, isn't part of the fear of like paving certain sections that the bed is not sufficient
Right,
for paving?
that was paved before, we just repaved it
Oh.
last summer.
Okay,
Yeah, and that's why, over by Heel Cove, that hill's paved. You gotta have these hills paved because it's too much of a maintenance nightmare.
mhm,
Dirt roads are a maintenance nightmare anyway,
yeah,
and we have 10 miles of them.
yeah,
We have more than most towns.
wow,
With more miles of road, Westport has probably more dirt roads than they tear around than I know of.
Wow.
wow,
By quite a bit.
yeah, interesting.
Jim, I saw a note, I think it was from Davies the other day, that he had read somewhere something about Lyme and how Lyme was, did you look at that?
I
I
didn't get a
did,
chance to read
it
it.
seemed like it's too good to be true, so
Yeah.
I'm curious about that.
Yes, so, that it was talking about how if you have really muddy roads, sounded just like our roads with all the, the challenge that you have, that if you put lime, that the lime, I believe, the point was that it dried up, it helped to dry the roads quicker, and that they were less muddy and, less problematic, and so, have you heard of
I've
anything
never
like that?
heard of that. People were complaining about the salt, but blaming the mud on the salt, but salt absorbs moisture.
Mhm.
Salt actually helps muddy roads, it don't cause them.
Which is basically what they were saying about the lime as well.
Well, I think it's saying it does stabilize more the soils, what they're advocating. But it was the lime manufacturers who put together that
Oh, right,
brochure.
no, I know that,
because I'm
no,
looking
no.
at that and I'm like.
No, I
It's
realize that,
from-
but I was just curious because, I was just wondering if Jim had heard of it before or.
Well, it says, okay, because
yeah.
quick lime can cause burns and
Yeah,
hydrated lime can irritate skin and eyes. It seems like,
yeah, I was just curious because even
Yeah.
if
Salt
somebody's
irritates
marketing
skin
it.
and eyes too.
yeah.
People drowned in water.
I
The only
feel
time
like-
I use lime is doing a lawn or something, to get, if you got acidic soil.
We'll print it off
Yeah.
for you so you could see what it
Well,
says.
It'd be
is gonna-
interesting to see that.
Yeah.
Well, I
I
hadn't
just
seen
thought it
this
was
before.
interesting, yeah. I don't
Yeah.
either.
It's not something that the DOT's talked about in the workshops I've gone to,
Right.
so.
The only solution there is for mud is having a place for the water to go. You gotta get rid of the water.
Mhm. Yep. Some kind of,
Spot
drain.
on ledge, most of the problems on Westport with this mud is due to ledge somewhere, trapping water back.
mhm.
I think on Post Office Road, you can see ledge right there on the side of the road. I mean, it's a ledge, and I think there might be a pocket there that holds water. And the water has to build up under the road to a certain point to drain off. But there's always that underlying water under the road.
Mm,
Dynamite works great on stuff like that.
Yeah, I have the same problem with my own driveway and, I asked one time and it was like, the only way to fix it is to dynamite it. It's like my own little driveway. Yeah, so I deal with it every year.
The hammer works on small pieces, but
Yeah,
Post Office Road there, that needs like those big 2.5 inch sticks of dynamite.
The Hamiltons might find that a bit disturbing.
Yeah, but it works wonders. It solves water problems.
all right, so while we're on talking about ordinances, do you have any other updates on ordinances?
No, we're pretty much good to go. We got that one squared away, so now I think we're going to move on to presenting it to the attorneys. I guess we can send ahead the ones that we've gotten done and just wait on the LD 2003, because they're not gonna finalize that until the April 10th meeting. So we can send these ahead to the attorney and then come back and I guess, we can move them ahead how best we see. So it's basically gonna be the nuisance ordinance and the entryway driveway ordinance. There are some changes to some of the mooring ordinances, just very small changes. But as far as new, it's LD 2003, the entryway and the nuisance ordinances.
Can I get a
Oh, and
bite out of the right landing ordinance before you send it, or get a look at it, because there's a lot in there about renting that place that is not,
oh yeah, definitely. That one we didn't make any
Okay.
changes on.
okay.
So yeah,
I don't know if there's time to like run it through the ordinance review committee, but I just wanna square it with what I heard about our rental.
yes, 100%. I think we should quickly update it. I don't think things like that are gonna be too difficult to explain to people. In terms of amendments to the ordinances that exist, yeah.
All right, thank you for that. Anything on correspondence that's not under admin items that either of you had? I think anything that was there is pretty much, under here.
Yeah,
I looked at
yeah,
all the notes from the past 2 weeks.
yeah, no.
Okay, all right, let's go to admin items. There's a little issue with the right landing. You wanna talk about that, Jeff?
Yep, we have a breach in the water line, to the right landing house. And that's about a 300-foot line. The wellhead is up towards the top of the parking lot. We had an estimate for the cost of the piping and the connection to the house of about $1,500. And a rough estimate of the ditching required to bury the new pipe of about $2,000 to $3,000. Again, a lot depends when you're going down, 4 feet, what you bump into there. So we won't necessarily know. And one of the challenges too is we need to go around the parking lot. Probably the original water line is buried by the parking lot.
Yep.
That went in probably when the right landing house was originally built around 1970. So there's some wild cards there. But we need to do this so we get water back into the building. What I'd like to do would be to go and get some quotes without doing an RFP per se, but do some quotes. Get a couple other quotes, I think, for the plumbing work, or other people who do well work. And then also get some quotes, maybe with Jim's help, for doing the ditch work, the digging. So we can make a decision there. And I can, we come back for our next meeting, the meeting after, with what those quotes are, and we could recommend what to go forward.
Always something, huh? Speaking of always something, this morning there was a note from Dee. The water in here is leaking in the women's bathroom. Her solution is to put a garbage can there for now. I asked her, and I actually asked all of you if anybody knew a plumber that we could contact, because it feels like that's, part of the administration of this office, and we should just be able to do what we need to do, especially if it's a small project. I think it just needs a plumber to come in and fix the pipes or whatever.
Sink or toilet?
I think it's a sink.
It's a sink.
Under the sink?
Yeah, it's under the sink.
It's
It's
the
like
catch-
where the
catch
trap
drain.
is.
Oh, the track?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Drain
She
is-
said there was another issue as well,
Well, I think she said the faucets are
leaking or something. Yeah,
rusty or
but,
something.
anyway, we need, if anybody has the name of a good plumber,
Don't slow down. His number written.
good. Cause
Now,
that.
getting them
needs to
is
be done.
another thing altogether.
Yes. Mine passed away, and so I don't have a plumber anymore.
Yeah, well, tell him
So if you can send that to Dee Dee, that would be great.
I'll send it to you.
Yep, thank you. Like I said, always something. there was a note, and actually it probably could have gone under correspondence. April, I don't know if you've seen the note from Dennis about the sea level rise adaptation survey. He's interested in putting out a survey, trying to figure out ways to get it out to people, whether it's a Survey Monkey and put it on the website. He was also talking about potentially doing hard copies and having them available when people come into the office. But I think he wanted to contact you to figure out what might work best for that. But I think the survey is ready to go.
Okay.
And I know part of it was, there was a link for that, so I think he's trying all sorts of different strategies.
Okay.
So if you'll check in with him, or I can send him a note and,
Yeah, no, I'll work with them. We can probably put it in the newsletter. We can put it on the
Yep,
website.
exactly,
put it on
exactly.
Facebook, we can
Yeah,
put it on all
yeah.
the places.
yeah, and I don't know if you were on that email or not.
I might have been. I haven't read it the last couple of days.
Yeah, and I don't remember when it came through, I just remember seeing it just recently.
Mhm.
The 28th.
The 28th, yeah. And then, just a quick answer to your question about posting of the assessor's agent, there was an somebody asked where to post it, was it okay to post it
Oh,
nationwide?
yeah, there was some
solicitation.
nationwide company.
They just want to
Legit.
grab
Yeah.
the data, so
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yep,
Okay,
yep. I knew you didn't have an answer yet and
Yep.
felt like you needed one.
thank you. Yeah, that's
Yeah, I was looking at all the emails and it's like, well, I don't see an answer to this, so let's at least get that going. All right, any other admin items, April?
not on my end.
Okay,
Okay.
any for you?
Just backing up to number 6 on our list was about the planning board sharing information from the MMA. But a question about,
Oh, yeah, we had talked about that. So I
yeah,
took it off.
but the question was really, right now, the only ones who can submit a question to the MMA is the select board.
Yep.
And we really should have the chair of the planning board, the chair of the Board of Appeals, and I would also suggest the Conservation Commission, who could have business with MMA legal, so they don't have to go through the select board. So I'd like us to modify that, because it's all based upon a letter that we sent to the MMA, to modify that letter to add those 3 other positions.
Well, for the planning board, I think we still need to wait until we have a chair.
But make it for the chair.
Yep.
I'm just saying, it
Yep.
doesn't, not name, I'm saying the positions. The planning board chair, the chair of the Board of Appeals, and the chair of the Conservation Commission.
Got that, April? Got that?
I do.
Okay.
Well, I'll move that, if someone wanna,
Oh, yeah, I do.
Are we formally changing the policy?
we're formally changing, the
Yeah,
letter,
and
the policy to the.
I couldn't remember,
Whether it was a policy or not.
well, it's a policy, but I can't remember why we were so restrictive of it. I mean, I know why too many people were using it,
Mhm.
but then we just made it us. And I don't remember the rationale for why we didn't include those 3 committees, which
I do.
you do?
Yeah, and it was just that you wanted to be looped in.
Right.
Like the planning board chair can have a question, but the select board should know what the questions are that people are grappling with on those major committees. And it's just to keep you guys, I think, in the loop was your reasoning at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually, it doesn't, you took care of the one from Bob, and that's the only one that's ever happened that you had to do?
That's all I'm aware of. If you 2 haven't done anything, then that's it.
No, so it seems like it's not even really a big issue.
No, but it's something, again, I remember being on the planning board where we would actually submit something which is more of a technical issue, like the one that Bob submitted. That's not so much a select board issue, but more of the planning board needing to get some feedback. We can ask us to be copied on anything, but just to not create a roadblock.
I'd like to table this until we can talk a little bit more about it. I'd like to revisit that earlier conversation about why we made that decision. And so I need to think about, like, I remember having the conversation, your question about why did we decide that, I think that's what I need to,
Yeah,
I want to think about that a little bit more.
yeah, I don't think it's that much of an emergency that we have
No,
to deal with it
no,
tonight, but,
no. No,
yeah.
all right, anything else?
Okay,
All right, I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Right?
Okay.